to another edition of Simi Scran. So today I'm going to show you guys how to cook the recipe that we sent out to you on Friday, which was the vegetable, or if you like, vegetable and chicken korma. So it's a really easy dish. I'm not going to be using chicken because I don't eat it, but I'll show you guys when you add it in. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is a tablespoon of vegetable, or if you've got olive oil, olive oil. So just stick a tablespoon of that in the pan, and you're going to fry your onion, and spices in the pan together. So you guys were given a massive onion, so I've put on the recipe quarter of one of those. If you have already used that for something else and you're using a normal sized onion like this one, then it's one of these onions. So I've already got that chopped up here, and I'm just going to put that in with my oil into the pan, and then we will put in a mix of spices. So that's my onion. You're cutting your onion quite finely, so quite small bits. That's my onion and spices on the heat. So it's on low heat for about 5 to 6 minutes. And in the meantime, you can prepare your chili, garlic and ginger. Now you can put as much or as little of each of these in as you like, and as you get to know the recipe a bit better, you can maybe test around with it. One thing I will show you is the ginger, and ginger comes in a kind of, it's a root, so ginger looks like that. And what you need to do is get the kind of brown skin off the ginger. And on the recipe it says basically a thumb-sized or 3 centimetre sized piece of ginger. So you should all have roughly that amount. You may have more, you may have less. And like I said, you can put lots of ginger in if you really like ginger. If you're not so keen on ginger, put far less in or put none in. That's absolutely fine. It's important that you like the food at the end of this, so don't worry too much about adding whether or not you've done exactly what the recipe says. Think more about what you and your family enjoy eating. So what I'm doing here is just peeling the skin. Now I'm using a knife to do this, as you'll notice. I would get an adult to help you with this bit if you only have a knife, or you might have a grater. You can kind of grate the edges off, but it is easiest done with a knife. So I'm going to put this whole chunk in because I'm quite a ginger fan. So I'm going to take the skin off all of this. But like I said, stick to the recipe for the first time if you want to see what that tastes like and see if you like it. If it tastes too gingery, ginger doesn't have a very strong flavour when you're cooking. So when you're cooking with it, you need quite a lot of ginger to get that sort of flavour that you might recognise in biscuits and other kind of ginger stuff that you maybe don't like. So don't worry too much about putting ginger in, it won't taste really gingery. Ginger biscuits have absolutely loads and loads of ginger in them. So once you've peeled all the skin off, so it looks a bit more like this, you will grate that into your dish. Now the other thing is the chilies. We've only got red chilies in the house at the moment, so I'm using red chilies. The smaller the chili, the hotter it is. So these are quite small, they'll be quite hot. And again, if you don't like hot food or spicy food, you can do this recipe without any chili. The other way to get a bit of a slight chili flavour is to de-seed it. So that's just taking the seeds that come out of the inside of the chili. It's all full of seeds, as you can see there. If you take those out, that's the hottest part. That's another way of getting a little bit of heat, but without making it really, really spicy. So I'm going to take the seeds out of this one. But again, don't worry too much about putting in a little bit of chili, especially the ones that you had in your packs, because they're quite big, so they'll be quite mild naturally anyway. So even if you're not a fan of really hot food, adding chili to your recipe isn't going to be a problem. So we slice that up, and then we grate the ginger. It's my 5 or 6 minutes up. Grate the ginger into the pan, and I'm going to put 2 cloves of garlic in mine because I like quite garlicky food, but the recipe says 1, so 1 clove of garlic. And again, just as a reminder, this is a bulb, and you just need the 1 clove, and you can grate that, or you can use a clove garlic crusher if you have one of those at home. Okay, so just wanted to show you what my pan looks like when the onions and the spices have finished kind of boiling in together. So they should look kind of light and golden brown. And if I just put you down there, so I'm just going to put in my chili. In with that. And then get my grater and grate my ginger in there. Now you can slice the ginger as well. It's got to be quite fine though, so it might be quite difficult to slice, but you can slice it. So that just all falls in. And I think I said this on the last video, but I'll say it again. If you can keep the onions at quite a low temperature, they'll cook to a much nicer flavour. So that's my ginger. I'm using quite a fine grater because it helps with the flavour, but also it's good for not getting your fingers caught on the grater, so it's slightly safer with a fine grater. Although harder to use. So just put my ginger in and my garlic as well. And I think I mentioned this in the last video, but I've just fixed it again because it's a total life hack. But if you have garlic all over your fingers because you've just been doing it for chopping it for cooking, if you rub your fingers on a stainless steel tap, now unless you've got really posh brass taps or really old brass taps, you've almost definitely got a stainless steel tap. So as you can see, I'm just rubbing my fingers on the tap. I've already put soap on mine too. And what you notice, and I really don't understand why, but for whatever reason, stainless steel reacts with garlic and takes the smell off your fingers. So give that a shot. It's a little life hack for you. Okay, so the next step is your vegetables. And again, just like the chilies and the spices, put in more of the vegetables you like, put in different vegetables. We gave you a carrot, some potatoes, some cauliflower and some courgette. You don't have to use those. I've got sweet potato in mine because we didn't have any normal potatoes in the house. And what I've done is put the bowl here on some weighing scales. So we need about 800 grams of vegetables. So just been chopping vegetables sort of roughly equally until we get to 800 grams. So I've got carrot, courgette, cauliflower and sweet potato. If you don't like your vegetables chunky, so I've cut mine quite big because I like the texture of them. The other thing is to blend them. So you can blend them and make it a kind of much thicker sauce. So one of the parents I know has already done that with one of our last recipes because he doesn't like the texture of vegetables. So it's good for if you don't like the texture of vegetables. It's also really good if you're trying to sneak vegetables into your children because they'll just think, especially if you add chicken to it, they'll just think it's part of the curry sauce and they won't question the fact that they're chopping down actually loads of vegetables. So I've got my 800 grams of vegetables here. What I have done is while I was chopping these up, I took my onion mix off the heat because I didn't want it to burn and stick to the bottom. So if you aren't all fully prepped and have done everything before you start with your onions, that's one option. So what you do now is add this to the onion mix and you cook these for about another 5 minutes. So this all goes into the onion mix and gets cooked for about 5 minutes. Okay, so I have added my vegetables into the mix. I needed to put a little bit more oil in mine because it was looking quite dry. If you want to make it more healthy, you can add water instead of oil, just while it's cooking, but I just thought I'd show you. So that's the vegetables all mixed in with the spices and the onion that you had at the beginning. And we'll leave that, like I said before, for 5 minutes to cook. Okay, so once you've done your vegetables, you chop up the chicken. And you add that if you want to put chicken in it as well, or you can chop up the chicken and add that and not put the vegetables in, that's up to you. But I'm just going to do the vegetables, so while that's cooking, so that's on for about 5 minutes, so while that's cooking in the pan, I'm going to prepare my stock. Now you guys were given stock pots. You can actually add 300 millilitres of boiling water and just the stock pot to the pan all at the same time. Give it a good stir, make sure the stock pot melts into the mixture. I've got stock powder, so I've put mine in my jug. But after about 5 minutes of cooking, you just add that stock or the water to the pan and you let that cook for another 10 minutes. So my vegetables have been cooking for about 10 minutes. So it's roughly 10 minutes or until the vegetables are all cooked and the chicken is tender if you're cooking with chicken. So that's really the majority of this task already done. So all that is left to do, and if I just put you down there, is take 200 grams of yogurt. Now you'll have yogurt in your packs. I'm using vegan yogurt, there is such a thing, believe it or not, and you just stir that through. So I'll just do that and show you what it looks like. So my vegetables are off the heat by this point. So I'm just, you can see that. So this is just plain yogurt, or I think you've got some of you have Greek yogurt, either one works fine for this recipe. So I'm just going to stir through the veg. What you end up with is a nice, creamy Korma sauce. So there you go, that's what it looks like. Now I'm not actually going to be eating this right away, so I'm going to leave that just now. The flavours will intensify the longer that you leave it. But as it says on the recipe, serve it with rice, with naan. Also, at this point, before I should say, taste it. So get a little bit of the sauce. Just see if you think it needs anything. If it needs salt, pepper, if it's or anything else that you think it might need. Maybe it needs a bit more yogurt. I think it needs to cool. If it's too spicy, you might want to cool it down with a bit of yogurt, a bit more yogurt. If it's not quite thick enough, leave it to cook for a little bit longer to reduce the water down. But yeah, try it at the end and see whether you want to add more salt, more pepper, or more yogurt. All right, and enjoy.